What up, rap leaders? Welcome back to my channel. It's a long time since I've given you an update on the political situation in Guyana, and I've deliberately withheld my commentary because I don't want to add to the confusion and the debate that is raging in Guyana over the last 3 to 4 months. And the other reason is because it is a volatile situation. It has the potential to become quite violent, and I don't want to be held responsible for adding to what could potentially become quite deadly event, right? So I've actually held my commentary deliberately because there's a lot of confusion, a lot of misinformation, and a lot of paranoia and ignorance and racism and all that mess that I don't really want to be identified with or to become known for. But it is now time for me to see exactly what has happened and what I have been thinking all along. So I did say that I will reveal to you my statistical analysis of the election results for the last 2 cycles. And in summary, I found that the results show a statistical tie. That means that the separation between the two parties is within the margin of error, right? So statistically, you can't really say who won the elections because there is, in this election cycle, 7,000 votes that is required to win 1 seat in parliament, and the 2 major parties are separated by less than 7,000 votes in the final recount. And that means that there are mistakes or errors in the counting process that could be greater than 7,000 votes. And that is what has come out now, and that is in fact what is behind all of the political and legal arguments behind releasing the election results. In other words, it turns out that there are so many irregularities that about 15,000 votes, at least 15,000 votes, will not be counted, and another larger number were excluded for various reasons. And the reason why that is important and significant is because the parties are separated by less than 7,000 votes. The 2 leading parties are separated by less than 7,000 votes, which is less than 1 seat in parliament. So if you have irregularities that are greater than the margin of error, 7,000 votes, greater than the number of votes separating the 2 parties, then this is legitimate grounds for dispute. Anywhere else in the world, this would require a runoff election between the 2 leading parties, and that is in fact what logically should happen here in Guyana. There should be a runoff election between PPPC and the APNU-AFC. That, however, has not been arrived at. That decision has not been reached. While all of this back and forth between the 2 parties at the Supreme Court, at the Court of Appeal, and then eventually now at the Caribbean Court of Justice has been ongoing, it is intelligent, reasonable, wise to wait patiently without adding to the debate for the correct logical conclusion or decisions to be made, which, as I say, requires a runoff election between the 2 parties. Now, I don't know that will happen, and this is my prediction. If it doesn't happen, that means that we could have a violent situation occurring in Guyana. And of course, I don't want to be encouraging or even participating in any of that, which is why I've withheld my commentary. Let me say this, however, as I promised before, I would explain my vote, why I chose to who I voted for, and why I chose to vote the way I voted. I actually voted for Change Guyana in this election, in the general election. So in the general election, I voted for Change Guyana, and in the regional election, I voted for APNUAFC. And the reasons are the following. I voted for Change Guyana because I was dissatisfied with the performance of the APNUAFC in the 2 years that we had a chance to observe them, but I definitely don't want the PPC back in power. However, the only party that spoke about the kind of change that I wanted to see, which is a lower schedule of taxes in the society so that we could actually do better in business. We could become a more inviting business society that is more favorable for business. The only party that said anything about taxes is in fact the Change Guyana party. They specifically spoke about lowering taxes for vehicles, right? Now my position is that there should be no tax on imported vehicles in Guyana because we don't manufacture vehicles in Guyana, and therefore we are not protecting any industry when we tax imported vehicles. What in fact we should be doing is taxing the fuel. We should be taxing gasoline, the fuel that the vehicles consume, so that it encourages people to purchase fuel-efficient vehicles, electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles. And if you tax the fuel, it will mean that, one, you will encourage people to buy fuel-efficient vehicles, and two, it will be a more even tax system so that you don't have certain people being exempted. In this situation right now, as politicians are exempted from paying taxes on vehicles, they get to buy new vehicles every 3 years without paying any taxes. They get duty-free concessions, whereas the rest of society, regular society, pays 300% or more in taxes. And I actually did a video about that, and check it out. I did a video on cost of vehicles. So there's only one political party that actually addressed those issues, and that was Change Guyana, and that is really the reason why I voted for Change Guyana. Secondly, the Change Guyana party did not arrive at this conclusion that I explained, that there should be no taxes on vehicles. What they did, they said, is that we're going to reduce the taxes significantly. And while that is not exactly what I wanted, it is a step in the right direction. So what I'm illustrating is that you vote for not the perfect alignment of your views. In fact, in my case, I voted for movement in the direction in which I think things should be moving in Guyana. Things should be going in Guyana. And that's basically why I voted for Change Guyana for general election. Why I voted for the APNU in the regional elections, because Georgetown is an APNU AFC stronghold. They actually did a good job cleaning up the city, and they are much in a better position to do more for Georgetown, the city of Georgetown, than any of the other political parties, because they have more representation here and they have more councillors and on the city council, and more political leaders in the Georgetown area, and that's why I voted for them in the regional election. But those are my views, guys. That is what I think is going to happen. I want to thank again those people who contributed for helping the homeless people during COVID-19 pandemic in Guyana. We actually came out not too badly. There were at least 14 deaths, and we're still actually going through a minor spike right now with over about 10 to 14 new cases every day. But we are moving into a period of phased reopening, and we literally survived this without any government help, any government intervention, either for businesses or individuals. There were no payouts, no assistance from the government. So your contribution, those of you who contributed for help for the homeless, actually saved lives. And I will eventually try to get one or two of the people who benefited to come on and be interviewed and explain how they benefited, so that eventually you see how your money was spent. But that is what's happened in Guyana. Thank you very much for assisting during the pandemic. So guys, that's what I think has happened. I'm going to eventually give you the statistical analysis that I actually worked out, or the spreadsheets, the graphs, and so on, that I used to determine that there was a statistical tie during this election cycle. But for now, this is my summary, and I will follow up this video with more details later. Want to see more content like this? Click like and subscribe. In the comments below, tell me what you think about the current situation, election cycle in Guyana. Were you prepared for the possible violence that could result if there is a incorrect decision at the end of the court cases? And what you really have been learning or following, or what are your views on the situation, election situation in Guyana over the past 3 to 4 months? Share this video with friends and family around the world. Let them know what's happening in Georgetown, Guyana. Later!